And this is getting you ready for grade 12 applied as well. Like this is going to come up there as well. So calculating the cost of materials. So I think these steps are very important. And I kind of standardize them even for grade 12, like when it comes to Renos. So in general, right, determine the amount of either surface area or volume required, and you're going to have to convert as needed. Obviously, that's always there. Second step, calculate how many boxes of tiles of floors you need, or how many cans of paint, how many loads of gravel you need to order. Calculate that next. Watch this, what it says here at the end. What does it say? Once you know how many you need, round to a whole number. And we always round up here, right? So if you need 2.3 loads of gravel, you're going to order 3, right? They won't charge you 0.3 of a load, they'll charge you for the next whole load. And then last step, guys, calculate the total cost before and after taxes. And we multiply by 1.12, right? Multiplying something by 1.12 adds taxes to it automatically, right? So for example, if you buy something for $100 at a store and you would like to know how much is this plus taxes, you just go times 1.12, and so you will be paying $112. Right? So anything you see at a store, especially electronics and stuff like that, most of the things pay 12% taxes, and that will be the case for us too. Okay. Forget about the formula section. Only if I need to, I might come back here and add, but they're actually going to be coming up next, okay? Because I modified this a little bit. So let's do some simple examples or simpler, that don't require us to figure out surface area or anything like that just yet. Okay. So example, 1 can of paint, right? 1 can covers 180 square feet, and it costs $29.99. Calculate the cost of painting a room that has a surface area, right? So the room has a surface area of 500 square feet. For proper coverage, right, 2 coats are required, and no partial cans can be purchased. How would you do that? So I'm going to go by my steps. Step 1. This is what I'm going to do. They don't give me the dimensions of the room, right? But I know the total surface area that I need to cover and paint. Okay. So step 1, surface area. Okay. So I need 2 coats, right, of 500 square feet. Right? I'm going to have to paint the whole room twice. So it is as if, right, the surface area to be covered is the equivalent of 1,000 square feet. Okay. And then step 2, in this case, how many cans will I require? Okay. And here's where you do it the way you see fit, but I will say this: 1 can covers 180 square feet. Therefore, I need X number of cans to cover 1,000 square feet. And some of you instinctively you were just gonna say, well, I was just gonna go 1,000 divided by 180, and then I know how many cans I need. That's fine with me, okay? So, but here you cross multiply and divide. So it's 1,000 times 1 divided by 180. And watch what happens there. No surprises, you get a decimal. Right? So I want you to write that down. 5.55 and so forth, right? Which is approximately 6 cans. That's how many you're going to have to pay for. You can't get away with 0.55 of a can, right? That's the key with renovations, right? So then step 3 is when we figure out the cost. And you know what? I'm just going to go cost would be 6 cans. This is like the gas question, like how many liters are you gassing up? So you just take your cans and you multiply it in this case by $29.99. So a lot of students want to do everything in one shot, and I want you to refrain from doing so. I want you to first figure out the total surface area to be covered. And in this case, it was a trick, right? 2 coats, right? So 2 times 500, so it's like painting 1,000 square feet. How many cans do I need? Then I figure out my cost. Please don't skip that step. So here we go. 6 times $29.99. That's $179.94. I'm going to say before tax. That's the key word here. So no taxes yet. But if you multiply this by 1.12, you get $201.53 after tax. So sometimes I just ask you for before tax. Sometimes I'll ask you the cost after tax, right? So this step includes 12%. And if you're still not sure about that, it's like, well, 100% is what the item is worth. If you add 12%, you're paying 112%, right? 112% as a decimal is 1.12, right? So that's where that comes in. If you only wanted to know, watch this. If you only want to know how much taxes you pay, then you would go times 0.12, right? So it would be $21.59 would be the taxes only. But very rarely do I ask you for that. It just asks you right away, tell me what this would be after taxes. Times 1.12, boom, right there. Right? That's what most of the time I'm after. So that's why I give you the shortcut there. Okay, so these are just short, quick examples. Was there any conversion needed? Luckily, right? But sometimes I mix up yards and feet and stuff like that. So don't forget about that. Okay? That's still going to be there. Okay, a construction crew is pouring concrete into cylindrical pillars with a volume of 0.26 cubic yards. I'm going to highlight that. That's important, right? So each pillar has this much concrete poured into it, okay? The crew ordered a load of, right? A load of 5 cubic meters. Cubic yards, cubic meters. I don't know where this is going, but I see that there's a discrepancy there. And it costs $850 per load. Calculate the total cost of concrete if 100 pillars need to be poured. No partial loads can be purchased. Okay. You need to fill up 100 pillars worth of concrete. Step 1. Is there surface area here? No, but there's volume, right? So I'm going to go volume required. And that's going to be my first step. Volume required. How much do I need? Well, remember how many coats? 2 coats earlier, right? 2 coats. In this case, I have 100 pillars that need concrete, and each one of those pillars requires 0.26 cubic yards of concrete. If you multiply it by 100, what are you going to get? 26 cubic yards, right? Nice and easy numbers so far. Should I do some converting here? Cubic yards, cubic meters, I'm gonna have a problem here. I'm gonna do the conversion now, okay? Convert. What would you like? Would you like to go from yards to cubic meters, or would you like to convert the cubic meters to cubic yards? Is it Jacob? Is it Jacob? Oh, okay, got it right. Cubic meters to cubic yards? I think I was reading your lips there. Okay. So watch what you're saying. I can read lips. The power. Convert. So I'm going to go 5 cubic yards. How do you do this again? The cubic thing? Right? What should I do here? What are the rates that I should use? Is there a meter and yard? Right? There's 1 meter has, am I mixing this up? 9.1. No, is it 1 yard and meters, right? You don't know, but I'm trying to remember my ratios. Before I write this down, is it 1 yard has 0.9144 meters? Okay, now we're talking. Sorry about that. So 1 yard has 0.9144 meters. I don't have this on my key, that's why I'm. And what do I need to do to this rate? See that? That's a problem right there. I can't leave it as is, can I? I need to raise this whole thing to the power of 3. No big deal. So let's do that here. 5 cubic meters times 1 cubic yard. And underneath, I'm going to write down what that is. 0.9144 to the power of 3. Hit enter. I can leave it like that because I've applied the cube. I can cancel this out. And I end up with, watch this, I'm going to go 5 times 1, which is 5, divided by, I'm just going to copy paste, and that gives me 6.5397 ... cubic yards. So this is a complete aside. Okay. I've converted my cubic meters to cubic yards because I am dealing with cubic yards up here. So now I'm going to go step 2. What is step 2 gonna, what am I asking for here? Not number of cans, but what am I asking for here to figure out the cost? What are you gonna have to, how are you gonna have to order your concrete? You're gonna have to call and say, I need this many loads, right? So number of loads. And then step 3 will be the cost. I want you to take the time, figure out how many loads you'd have to order, and then figure out the cost. I will come back, but I'll give you a couple minutes to try this on your own before we move on. Let's see. The hardest part was probably dealing with this and then maybe this. But to figure out the number of loads, to be honest, I would have just gone the total amount required, right? 26 cubic yards divided by 6.5397 and so forth, right? So loads would be 26 divided by that. So you need 3.97. I would like you to show me that, but that's approximately 4 loads. So however you got it, you could have said one load is 5 cubic, or sorry, not 5 cubic meters, but you would want to use this one. One load has 6 point something cubic yards. Therefore, right, if I need 26 cubic yards, how many loads do I need to figure out? You should still come up with 4. Okay. And now you figure out the cost. So that would just be 4 times 850. And that's 3,400, right? So that's 3,400 before tax. If you multiply that by 1.12, for us, everything is going to be 12%. In grade 12, some things are only taxed 5%. Okay, so but that's for another day, right? So that's basically what I would be after in this case. Right? So somehow figure out how much you need in total. Pay attention to how many things you're getting or how many codes you're putting on and stuff like that. And then do some converting if needed, right? And then maybe I'll highlight that part, right? So this came over here, right, to help us out. So you should have used this in figuring out how many loads at some point, okay? All right. Moving on. This should be a review as well, okay? But I need you to understand how this works, okay, to make sure you you get this right. Calculating cost of renovations. Usually, you're required to calculate the surface area of a room. So rectangular prism, this is the formula in general, right? Where this 2 times length times width, right? Length times width, that'll be top and bottom. This is on page 10. Okay. Let me zoom into that a little bit so you can see it. That's top and bottom. If you multiply the width and the height, right? The width and the height would be the sides. And the length and the height would be the front and the back. So that's in general how you should see the surface area of a rectangular prism, right? That's how you should see it. However, quite often when we're painting, we're not painting the top or bottom. We're not doing the ceiling or the floor, right? We're just doing the walls. So surface area of the walls would simply be this last part here, okay? So it would be 2 times width times height plus 2 times length times height. Remember this, it's the brackets that involve the height. Remember that, okay? Because remember the walls, they would all have a height associated with it. Okay? So you don't want to include the length and width. So that'd be surface area of the walls only. If it's asking to paint the walls and the ceiling, then we will take one of the length times width, only one of them, not two. So it turns out to be length times width plus 2 times width times height plus 2 times length times height. That's how that turns out to be. Okay. So I would expect you to know how to use these formulas. Some students just need to put this one on their study sheet and just label what each of them mean, and then they're good to go, right? They don't need to have all 3 of these formulas on their study sheet. You remember this, right? From Intro to Applied Pre-Cal and grade 9. You've done a lot of this. Okay, so let's move on to some other scenarios. What if the rooms are not perfectly rectangular? Okay, what do you do then? I'll show you the shortcut right here. You're already seeing it. Irregular prism, right? If it's irregular, use this one right here. This is going to be in grade 12. This is going to be huge, right? Surface area of the walls. You simply take the perimeter, right? You figure out the distance around that room, and you just multiply it by the height. You're effectively finding the surface area of the walls, right? So that's a bit of a shortcut. Mr. Dirksen, does it work for a room like this as well? Yes, it does, right? If you were to find the distance around the base here and just multiply by the height, it would still work. So if you'd like to do that, go for it, okay? So here it is. Imagine a room has a height of 8 feet, and you're given like that. And so you want to know the surface area of the walls only, okay? So you go perimeter times height. Okay. What's the perimeter of this room? Right, you've got 20 and 30, that's 50. Technically, if you add up, right, these two, that'd be another 20 going this way. And then 8, this would be 22, right? If this is 8, we subtract that from 30 to get our 22 here. But regardless, start at a corner and then just start adding up. 20 and 30 is 50, 56, 64, 78, and then 100, right? So that's 100 feet. Some of you saw that right away. So we would go 100 times 8, right? So that's 800 square feet. Remember that, you're finding surface area. Finding surface area. And then this one here, can I ask you to do this real quick? Try to figure out the surface area. So it's the surface area of the walls, right? Sorry. Let's use some space down here. We've got lots of space here. So surface area of walls. So perimeter times height. Try to figure out the perimeter of this, the distance around, even going in, and then multiply it by the height. In this case, the height is 9 feet. I just need you to try at least one where you figure out the perimeter yourselves, okay? So take a minute or two and figure that out. Peek into your neighbor's work after to compare. All right. So pretty much all sides are given except for this stretch here. I hope you know, right, that you're comparing this side, right? You know two pieces that make up that entire side. So you just subtract these two from 20 to get you, what is it, 11, 7, right? 7? No, wait. 11 and 5 is 6. I'm just testing you. There you go, yeah. So if you add it all up, what does it add up to? Because I haven't done this one. Is it 108? I just, okay. So I do, my mental math is okay then. So I went 108 times 9 in this case. So that would be 108 times 9, 972 square feet in this case. It could be square meters. Quite often when we're doing projects, we use feet. And there we go. So that's a quick way of finding the surface area of the walls if you had a room that isn't perfectly rectangular. All right. Okay, let's do one example here. And I apologize, I might push us right to the end of the class. So basically, this is what I'm going to tell you. If I run short in time, I'm just going to say, I just want you to try page 12. And the answer key is right here, the answer. I will also post the worked out answer as well. So let's go back to page 11. So I'll just say homework page 12. That's not a whole lot. Just so you know. Okay, a rectangular room measures, this is so weird, I know, but I just threw it in there, right? 144 inches by 6 yards and 2 feet with ceilings of 8 feet high. You have been hired to replace the carpet. Watch this. There's a bit more going on here. Right? You're hired to replace the carpet and repaint the walls and ceiling. Right? So there are two things that you need to do here, not just paint, but also replace the carpet. Okay. So the new carpet costs, right? The carpet costs $3.50 plus taxes per square yard, and a can of paint covers this much, and it costs $32.89 plus tax. Calculate the cost of paint after tax if 3 coats are applied, right? So 3 coats are applied, and the cost of installing carpet, obviously that should be straightforward, and then the grand total of these renovations including taxes. Always think of those 3 steps I gave you in the back of your mind. Okay, so I'm gonna just do this. Okay, convert. I'm gonna do some converting here. There's the length of the room, which is 144 inches. There's the width of the room, which is 6 yards and 2 feet. And there's the height of the room, which we already are told is 8 feet. So thank goodness for that, right? That's already in feet. I'm going to convert, because of the paint being charged in square footage, I'm going to convert everything to feet only. So let's do that right here. Right? 1 foot has 12 inches. Cancel, cancel. What's 144 divided by 12? 12. All right. So I did try nice numbers here, okay? Just so you don't forget the conversion part. 6 yards and 2 feet. So watch how I'm going to do this. 6 yards. I know that 1 yard has 3 feet. And I'm just going to watch this. I'm just going to add the 2 feet that are part of that measurement. Let me zoom in. Some of you are probably squinting, right? Like, it's too small. So this yard goes with that yard. Let's do some mental math here. 6 times 3, 18, right? Plus 2, 20. Okay, so 20 feet exactly is the width of that room. And this is already 8 feet, so no conversion necessary. I'm going to box this in just to kind of say, hey, we did this as to make our lives a little easier when we're trying to figure out the cost, right? Ultimately, we're trying to get the cost. And you will be frustrated. Sometimes you'll miss, but you will be amazed how much you can still score if you just show your work, right? So don't forget that. So I'm going to figure out the paint. I'm going to go after paint first of all. So I'm going to figure out the surface area to be painted. Okay. Surface area to be painted. So surface area that needs to be painted would be, I need the ceiling and the walls. So length times width plus 2 times length times height plus 2 times width times height. So these are my walls, and this is the ceiling. Okay. And so we go 12 times 20 plus 2 times 12 times 8 plus 2 times 20 times 8. $12 times 2 is 240. This gives me 2 times 12 times 8. I'll just give you the answer. That's 192. And then this one would be 320 there. For a total of 752 square feet. That's an important number. So you know what? I'm just going to underline that because it's going to be helpful for me. This would be step one, figuring out how much do I need to cover. What else is important before I move on? What else is the question telling me that I need to account for? Let's go back, it's highlighted. If you look at A, so this is the room, right? And I'm applying paint 3 times, 3 coats, right? So watch what I'm going to say here. Total surface area that needs paint is 3 coats times 752. And that would be 2,256 square feet. So it's as if you're painting a room that is that size, right? Effectively. So some students make the mistake to figure out how many cans do I need to paint at once, and then I'm just going to multiply that, times 3. And that's not quite right, because if you're painting, let's say you're painting the room, right? Painting. You need 1.5 cans to go around once, right? You can keep going with the half that you have left over and keep going and painting. You're using what's left over to do your second coat and your third coat and your fourth, right? So you need to figure out how much you need in total first. Like, what's the square footage that you would be painting in total, okay? All right. Now I need cans. Cans would be 2,256 divided by, what would I divide it by? How much does 1 can cover? It's right up here. 1 can covers 120 square feet. So 2,256 divided by 120, that's 18.8. Which is, right, I need approximately 19 cans. Okay, also important to me. And now I'm going to figure out the cost. 19 cans multiplied by 32.89. $624.91, and make sure you have a dollar sign, right? That's before tax. I'm going to go times 1.12. That's 699.90 after tax. So that's your cost of paint right there. I'm going to make a big line like this, saying, hey, that takes care of my paint situation. You're with me, right? I know it's a little dry. I know it. I feel for you. I wish I could be a bit more entertaining, but that's what you get. B, calculate the cost of installing carpet. So let's see. Carpet. I'm going to go back up and scan because what's going on here? I know the price, but it's per square yard. Okay, I need to be careful here. So surface area of the floor, what would you multiply for that? Length times width, right? And that is 12 feet times 20 feet, which is 240 square feet. But the carpet company sells it in square yards, square feet. What would you like to do? Do you want to convert this to square yards? Just say yes. Yeah, let's do this one. Instead of leaving, I'm going to leave the 1 square yard. I'm just going to leave it like that. I'm just going to convert this to squared yards. How's that? So I'm going to go times 1 yard has 3 feet. This is the conversion part. What do I need to do with that? Square it, right? I need to square it. Yeah. So we're going to go over here. 240 square feet is equal to 1 squared yard over 3 squared is 9 squared feet. Cancel, cancel. We go equals. So it's basically 240 divided by 9. I'm grabbing my other calculator. I don't know why. 26.66. That keeps going. Squared yard. That is the area of the floor in squared yards. I'm not going to round it. Okay. Okay. When I wrote this question, it made total sense to me, but I need to make sure I explain this to you. When it says, okay, when it says per 1 squared yard, you cannot buy partial, right? Like it's always up. Like it could have said it comes in boxes that are 1 squared yard in it. Okay, so in this case there are no boxes, but we can only buy 1 squared yard at a time. So what are we going to round this to? You guessed it, 27 squared yards. That's all you need to do in this case. You don't need to figure out how many boxes, how many cans, nothing like that, because it's per squared yard, right? And now let's figure out the cost. That'd be 27 squared yards times 350. You know what? Let's just go times 1.12 right away. You can do that. You can do that. So here's the final answer. 27 times 350 times 1.12. It's 105, sorry, 105.84. After tax. I like to always mention that so you know, okay, the 1.12 has been applied, so we're good. Make a big line like this, preferably not scratching your previous answer. And then so now it's just the grand total, right? Total would just be whatever you calculated in A, so that's 699.90 plus 105.84, because they both have taxes already in them. Don't add taxes again. Okay. I have to add that here. Plus 699.9. That's 805.74. That's my grand total for this project. Okay. And I'm going to stop here. I'm done. You're done. I'm done. We're all done. So page 12 is your homework. Guys, put your thinking caps on when you do these questions, okay? You know a lot of stuff. You know more than what you think, right? So just go with it. And if you all come back tomorrow with questions, I'm okay with that because that tells me you tried, right?